episode of Quilt with the Stars is brought to you by Baby Lock, for the love of sewing, and Koala Cabinets, sewing furniture custom built in America. Hi, you're watching Quilt with the Stars. We're back with another episode, and not one, but two guests today, Joanie and Melanie from TailorMade. Welcome, you guys.
Thank you.
It's
great to be here.
Yeah, it's so cool to have two people at the table. It's the first time it's happened.
We're happy to be the first.
Yes, and you do so much in the quilt world and in your lives. You're actually sort of like 60 different people. I mean, I feel like we have more than two people actually sitting at the table, or three. So Joanie and Melanie are here from TailorMade, and I usually open this show by saying, this person does this in the quilt world, and they do this, and they're an author or they're an educator. But I really struggled in figuring out how to define what it is that you all do. So I'd like to give it to you to tell me and everybody, what is TailorMade? What do you do?
Well, that's kind of hard to answer.
That's what I thought.
We are, I guess the best way to say what we do in a nutshell would be to say we're a creative resource for the textile companies. What we do is we service fabric companies, and we provide quilts, we design, we make. We also provide trade show booth design, setup, if they need something made for marketing purposes, whatever. So we just kind of try to fill all the little gaps that when things need to be made creatively.
Absolutely, and in the quilt world, many, many things need to be made creatively. It's a creative industry.
Yeah, and we have a great time with it.
Joanie, did she miss anything?
I think she covered it pretty well.
I think the words creative resource, that is really true. It's an excellent way to describe that.
It really covers the gamut of what we do.
Absolutely. And so tell me about, how did you get into this? I mean, how does one become a creative resource? I know you have backgrounds in art, you have backgrounds, in different things. Tell me a little bit about when you began even sewing and thinking creatively in the way that you do today.
We've always sewn. Our mom was a big sewer and sewed our outfits. We always had coordinating Easter and Christmas outfits from our mom.
Thank you, Mom.
Thank you, Mom. So we've always sewn, and Melanie really sewed a lot younger than I did. I didn't really start until college. Sure. And then we just kept sewing, and it became as she was in her design work, it led into this.
Right.
Yeah. We worked I started my career designing commercial design for fabric, and the company that I worked for needed some samples made. And I was like, my sister sews. It was kind of one of those things that, she's, home with the baby, so I could ask her. So and then it kind of snowballs. You just kind of meet people. The people in the quilting industry are so generous with their time, and just if they know you like to do something, or in the case where Joanie was home with the baby, give her the work. Oh, sure, let's give Joanie the work.
Exactly. So many, we talk about a cottage industry, and so many of the people I've had at this table, I've had the opportunity to interview, absolutely are working out of their homes. It starts very organically. I think that's a word that maybe gets overused, but it starts very naturally that, my sister sews, let's give her that project, or I need help piecing this. I know somebody who could do that, who would love to do that because she has a little baby. It really happens very naturally. And I think the quilt industry as we know it today, like you said, it snowballs. I mean, that's absolutely the function that you all serve in the quilt world is fascinating to me, and it's something people don't maybe think about. But when you have a fabric line from a company, if it's not shown in projects, in quilts, in magazines, on television shows, people might not ever know about it. And so tell me about the things that you sew and how you can serve the fabric. Do you see yourselves that way as you serve the fabric?
Absolutely.
We really work from a different perspective. Yeah. We don't necessarily go, this is a really neat idea for a quilt. We have to look at the fabric and see what the fabric speaks to us as. How to highlight that line of fabric into a quilt and make it be the center of the stage.
Yes. It also comes from the designers of the fabric. Many companies that we work for have several different designers, and we meet with the people at the company, and they'll say, this designer just really had a contemporary flavor to this, and she loves to do this or that. And so we try to take that information, and then we'll design maybe a contemporary quilt, but then we'll do maybe totes or some children's clothing or, what other things can we use with this great fabric line and
to
coordinate
make it look the best.
Yeah, yeah. And so we do a lot of different kinds of things. And going back to where we started, garments, tote bags, pillows, anything to complement how that is presented to the public.
Yeah. Absolutely. All the different skills that people come to this industry with, art design, art direction, these different things. It's amazing how they can bring to bear on what we do now, because the industry is so varied. There's so many different things that you can do here. And when you said, the artist or the designer of a certain fabric line had this as her inspiration or whatnot, some fabric designers don't sew at all.
Right.
No. And it's good that there are people who can, and there are some teachers who would never want to be on camera ever. And there's all kinds of different ways that we can serve the industry and can serve each other using our different skill sets. And that's what I think is so interesting about what you do, because and you do booth design too. Tell me about that.
It's a big project. It's taking maybe one fabric line and emphasizing that in the booth and making it come alive for a show, setting up the booth and having a theme.
Yes.
So we do everything from the back drapes and the table covers to the pillows and the patio set and the umbrella that needs to match the patio set.
Wow,
all coordinated.
I'm thinking about that umbrella. I've seen some of your work. They're really good. They're very good. And just really quick to interject, I want to ask you more questions about that. But for those who don't know, the quilt world to some quilters is just like, well, I make quilts. I'm a quilter, and I go shop for fabric, and I love it. But the industry itself, I mean, there are so many shows. There are trade shows. There are big ones. There are smaller ones. And when we talk about booths and booth design, what we mean is that when the vendors are showcasing at these shows, they have a landing place, a booth in that show, and that's what you're talking about.
We have to make it look beautiful,
exactly,
so that it can sell the fabric.
It's their calling card for people who are walking around.
Exactly, and it is also about the sales.
Yes.
I mean, we also have to have sales stations that the direct salesman or whoever is the salespeople from the company need to be able to sit down, show the lines, and be in a very comfortable setting. I mean, we try to balance that sales station with the display. You don't want overwhelming display because you still need to sit down and look at lines of fabric.
Practically, you need to sit down with your clipboard and your calculator and whatever and do that. And that's how quilt shop owners will order fabric from manufacturers at shows and all that.
So.
What would you say? I want to get a little bit about your families and where you're. We should talk about where you're located. You're both from Minnesota.
Yes. Born and raised and grown.
Okay, but now you live in.
I'm still in Minnesota, and she has deserted.
She's deserted. She couldn't take the winters anymore.
It's too much.
My family relocated to Illinois. We're just north of Peoria, and we are loving it.
Yeah. The winters are so much better.
So much better.
They are a little.
Yeah, they are. Yeah. It's amazing. 10 degrees. How much happier you can be.
I'll take every degree I can get to hang on to it.
Yeah. So it is fun.
That's good.
And we are very much enjoying the area.
But you're still working together.
But we're still working
TailorMade.
Well,
and you're in Minnesota still.
Yes.
Yeah, and the internet, we do things online. We're constantly on the phone, so it's not as easy, but we're making it work, and it's fun. We enjoy it.
And the team is essentially the two of you, sisters. I don't even think I mentioned that. We have sisters, and I work with my sister and my mom too. We talked about the family, but you do have satellite folks that help you out.
Oh yeah, we have a great team of ladies that work for us. Well, I shouldn't say just ladies, because we have sons and nephews and husbands that also help us out and load and whatever. But the sewers, we have long arm quilters, we have sewers that each have their own niche of skill sets as well.
The quilting industry, they, some like doing those difficult piecings. Some of them really love doing the decor things and the children's outfits. So we try to give each of them a project that they enjoy as much.
Yeah. And I'm sure some are faster than others, or some are more detailed. And that's if you need something done tomorrow, you know who to go to.
Yeah, exactly. We just cannot say enough about our girls. They are fabulous, and they just make us look great.
We love you. You can't do it without a good team.
No, we have a great team.
That is true. So if you could both, I'll ask you independently, what's your favorite part of your job? Joanie, you want to go first?
Oh, that's really hard. Part of why we work together is because we enjoy working together. Yeah. But the designing part for me is really fun to get that fabric line in and try to make it into a quilt that I love and she loves and works is a really fun experience for me, putting that together and creating that new piece of art, really.
Absolutely, that wasn't there before.
That wasn't there before is really fun.
It is, that's good. How about you, Melanie?
I think my favorite part is probably the people. I think just there, like I mentioned before, there are just so many people with generous hearts, and we have met people from all over the world, and we have great team of ladies, people that work for us. They're just best of friends, and family. We work together. We are our parents, our husbands, our children. Everybody pitches in, and just over the years, the many people that have just stepped into our lives and have become great friends, and it's really cool.
It's a very cool industry. Someone that worked with my mom said that who came to it from something else, another industry, something totally unrelated, was just wowed. Just couldn't believe that people behave the way they did to each other in this sort of warm way. I mean, of course, it's business, whatever, but there is at the core of what you all do, there are quilts. There's not like an accounting sheet. Well, there are those too. But there are quilts at the core of all this, and that is a really interesting place to start. And you all make that plane fly every day, sort of behind the scenes. And thank you so much for coming on the show.
You're welcome.
It was a lot of fun to get to know you, and
Thanks for
joining us. Bye.
This episode of Quilt with the Stars is brought to you by Baby Lock, for the love of sewing, and Koala Cabinets, sewing furniture custom built in America.